Welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal. We're coming at you today live with some good education. Gonna make you think a little bit. Gonna talk about the United States of America, the colonies, and basically religion. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the United States right now. There is an insurgence of Islam, which many people fear and are scared of, and many people hate it. Others are accepting of it because they don't want to look like a racist, kind of like when Barack Obama ran for president. Certain people were like, well, I'm not a racist. I voted for a black guy. Well, if that black guy was a Republican, you wouldn't have wanted anything to do with him. I've seen all that stuff. And then when they do that, well, it's not because he was black I didn't vote for him. I just didn't like him. People never tell the truth. But you always hear, and I'm seeing it every day, that the United States was a Christian nation. That this country was founded on Christianity. Everybody should be a Christian. And there should be no other religions except Christianity. Even though most people don't understand that there are tons of different Christian religions, many people don't understand a lot of things. And that's what I'm here for, to wrap your brain around the truth. The other day, I see stuff all the time posted, and I hear it. And a guy tells me that United States is a Christian nation. Everybody here should worship Jesus, and everybody needs to be Christian. And I said, well, what makes your religion better than everybody else's? And he says, because Christianity is the number one religion in the world. It's the biggest. And I pointed out to him that Islam's right behind it. And they say by 2050, and maybe even before that, Islam will be the largest religion in the world. There's over a couple billion people in both religions, Christianity, which has many different sects, and Islam has a few different ones too, but they're real close. And they're been in America for a long time, and they're expanding. They're getting more involved in a lot of things like politics and businesses and stuff like that. So a lot of people have fear for that. And some people, instead of having fear, have great acceptance, even though they don't know about the rules and regulations of things like Sharia law and things like that. They'll just accept anything because that's how a lot of people are. Like I've always said, it's easier to brainwash everybody now than it ever been. But this guy was telling me, since his religion's the biggest, that's the only one that matters. And I told him, I said, so what happens when Islam passes it? And I mean, we're talking 14 years. By 2050 is what the experts say. And I mean, that's less than 14 years, man. And I said, what happens when it passes? Will that be the main religion in the world? Will that be the number one religion everybody has to believe in? He goes, no, it'll be Christianity. I said, well, you're just telling me because something's bigger and better and more of it, that's the main thing. And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, but Islam's going to pass it. Well, no, it'll always be Christianity. Everybody needs to be a Christian. And personally, I disagree with that. I believe that everybody has the right to worship and believe or not believe in anything that they want to. And I believe if you want to worship a reindeer or a flying spaghetti monster, or you start your own first church of the teddy bear and you worship a teddy bear. I mean, it might not seem real and right. I mean, and it might be a little weird, but if you're going and worshiping a teddy bear every night and you're a good person and that teddy bear gives you faith and love and helps you be a better person and you're not hurting anybody, including yourself, what's that hurting anybody, right? Well, that's not right. You have to worship this or that. No, you don't, people. No, you don't. That's what freedom is for. That's what the United States was founded on. Not just religious freedom, as they say, but freedom. Because there were a lot of rules over there going on in these European countries, and people couldn't deal with that anymore. It wasn't just religious values and rules. That was a part of it. But there was a lot more to it than that. Always has been, always will be. Look at what's going on today, people. There's still problems with religious values here in the United States, man. You know, I mean, there's always going to be. And there's discrepancy and stuff. Just once, I want to see somebody say, hey, I might not agree with the Latter-day Saints and what they believe in, but they have a right to believe what they want. Bless them for that. They're not hurting anybody. Hey, I don't like the Hindus. I don't like what they believe in. Okay, you don't have to. You don't have to believe their way. But at least respect it. Are they pushing on you? Just like I mentioned the Latter-day Saints. They come to your door, they knock, they ring the bell, and they want to turn you on to their religion. You tell them, no, thank you. Bless you, have a great day, and be safe. How hard is that? It's not that hard, people. You know, you get all these people, they fight about certain things. I know this person calls herself a good Catholic. I don't know what she was before, probably nothing, but she converted to Catholicism to get married. She's a good Catholic. She goes to church at Easter and Christmas, but she can't tell you a single verse out of the Bible, out of their good book, which, for the record, that's what Holy Bible means, good book. That's Greek. And she can't tell you a verse, and she surely doesn't live like you should. You know, she's not a good person. She's a narcissist, lazy, just a horrible human being. And I'm going to judge her. You know, they say it's not our place to judge. If somebody's rude and mean and hurts me and my friends and the people I care about, oh yeah, I will judge you and not have anything to do with you. And I'll tell it like it is, because I'm the real deal, baby. Anyway, people like that are very uneducated. They're uninformed. They don't understand anything, but they want to push their beliefs on you. And I asked her one time, I said, okay, where does it talk about priests that can't get married? Where is nuns mentioned? Well, I don't know. I said, where's the rosary mentioned? Well, I don't know. I've never even read the Bible. That's what she told me. Now, people, none of that stuff is in the Bible. It's not in there at all. But if you want to worship it, want to believe that, want to do that, cool, that's your trip, man. But let's talk about the United States. The first people, now over in Europe, every area had their own main religion. And not everybody was religious. But if you weren't, you got persecuted big time. And if you were certain religions, you even got persecuted worse. Now, the first people that you would call white, I guess, were the Spaniards. And they came to St. Augustine, Florida, in the 1500s. Beautiful city, oldest city in the United States. If you get a chance, go down there. There's some really old buildings, a lot of history. I love history. It's a great city. My mother took me down there when I was little. My mother loved history. She knew how much I loved history. So she would take me to these places. And I love her for life, and I'll never forget her for doing that for me. Made me happy. Bless you, Mama. May her name and memory always be a blessing. Rest her soul. But they came down there, and they were all Catholic. And at that time, there weren't a lot of natives living down there because there was a lot of swampland. So the natives didn't really hassle them. They're like, and they had some good trade embargoes and stuff. There was good and bad. There always is. There still is today. But then you had the Jamestown people and the Puritans and the Pilgrims rolling into the colonies. In 1607, Jamestown came. And everybody says they were looking for religious freedom. Now, the king at that time, yes, he was making some rules, and there was great division, always has been, between the Catholics and the Protestants. And he was making a bunch of rules, added some stuff, basically to help the throne, to help say, oh, yeah, well, God wants you to give me more money. Yeah, Jesus would have wanted you to pay your taxes, things like that. They use that old verse quite a bit. Give to gods what's God's. Give to Caesar's what's Caesar's. And everybody interprets that as, okay, you heard him. He said, you got to give me what's mine, which is taxes and all this crap. Now, those people you'll hear all the time that came for religious freedom, and that was a part of it. But they also came because they had an opportunity to come to a new country where they'd heard a lot of stuff, which wasn't true. Heard all the stuff about the gold and the silver and all this great stuff. They did know about tobacco, and they got hooked on that. And we're talking real tobacco, not the crap they put out there today in the cigarettes and cigars and the vapes and stuff. That stuff's all toxic chemicals, man. I mean, tobacco company. We're talking about company that kills 500,000 of its best customers a year. And they keep going. They don't care. And they didn't care back then either. They lied to these people. And these people came over here. They didn't have any money. The Virginia Company, which was the name of the company that brought them here before they gave it the colony name, but they brought the people here. Those people were in debt. They were indentured servants. They had to sign a contract, and they had to come over here, work, and pay. And they came over here. The ships were loaded with a lot of stuff. They had food. They had resources and stuff. It didn't last long because they were under the impression they were going to come here. Crops would grow 10 feet high corn stalks. They heard all the rumors, but they didn't know any better. They were indentured servants. They built churches. They prayed to their God. And a majority of the people in the colonies were Protestants. And then more people started coming over here. And again, the pilgrims, the puritans, most of them were indentured servants. As a matter of fact, the majority of them died after being here within the first year. And like I said again, it wasn't all about just religious freedom. They still had the king and the colonist were controlling everything. The redcoats were here. The Hessians were here. Then other cultures started showing up. They started coming from the Netherlands and France and Germany, and it became a whole mix of religions. Now, there was one group that came here in 1643, and they were basically refugees, and they went to New Amsterdam, which is New York City today, and that was the Jewish people. So Jews had been in the United States for over 400 years. Well, almost 400 years. I had to do some math right there. No, wait, man. Yeah, almost 400 years. And they were very persecuted against, as usual, as they are today, for no freaking reason other than being Jewish. Now, the Jewish faith and bloodline, they don't go around and recruit anybody or try to convert or anything. They believe live and let live, like I was preaching earlier. And they were persecuted a lot, but they prospered. And then more started coming over here, and we had persecutions between the religions and between the different cultures, the French, the Spaniard, all that stuff. But this country was not founded on one specific religion. It was founded by people looking for opportunity and freedom. So when you sit there and try to tell somebody that you have to worship this guy, you have to do this, this is a Christian nation, if you don't like it, you got to leave. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Like I said, you have the right to believe in what you want and what you don't believe in. It's your choice, man. So people need to back off a little bit and quit pushing that, because that's all I seem to hear anymore. Now, Islam is rising up in America. It's been here for a long time. They came as explorers with other groups, but most of your Muslims or Islamic people did not arrive until late 1800s, started coming over here and settling, early 1900s. I mean, there could have been some beforehand, but, they're going to be persecuted because they're different. They're different than the Christians. And here's the thing with Christianity. You've got, as far as the Protestants go, How many different faiths and sects are there in the Protestant religion? You got the Lutherans, you got the Protestants, you got the Anglicans, you got quite a few. And they all don't agree, and they all don't get along. Trust me, I've seen it. I hear it. Don't forget about the Baptists. Didn't want to leave you guys out. Plus many, many more people. So, and there's a big discrimination. Now you got Islam coming over here, and you'll hear people talking about them on a daily basis. And you'll have people that will accept them because they don't want to look racist. And then you'll have people that don't accept them because even if they're not really religious, they don't like them because some of the actions in the past. And there's a lot of prejudice, a lot of bigotry, and it happens. And you're going to get that with anybody that's different than you. You see it on a daily basis. But when you say that this country is a Christian nation and that you tell everybody they got to worship Jesus, I have a problem with that, people. I have a big problem with that. Like I said, this country was founded on a lot of things. First of all, it was stolen from the Native Americans. I mean, we colonized. The white folks colonized it. But I can't say much because every country around the world, especially with Great Britain in charge, was colonized. The sun never set on Great Britain because they were all over the world. I mean, shoot, they owned everything. Think about it, people. South Africa, majority white country, speaks English because Great Britain took them over, man. So when you start talking about a nation that colonized somebody, start looking around at yourselves, people. The United States was colonized. Almost every country has been colonized by one group or another. Even your Asian countries. The Japanese colonized a lot of places, man. And they took it over. They made it their own. There was Asians there to begin with, but now they speak a little different, and they have a different culture because Chinese, etc., took them over. So, United States, my friends, is not a Christian nation. It is a nation. It is a nation which is supposed to have freedom of choice, freedom of belief, freedom of religion. That was a big thing. You have freedom of religion to believe what you want. Like I said, you want to believe in a flying spaghetti monster? Cool. I've never seen it. And you say it answers your prayers? Cool. All right. And it's guiding you to be a good person because the spaghetti monster told you to feed the poor and help the hungry? Cool. Good for you. I've never seen Jesus. He said a lot of good things, didn't he? And I know a lot of people that don't talk or listen and do what he said. I know this woman. She's a good Catholic. She's a good Christian because she goes to church at Easter and Christmas. And she converted to Catholicism to get married. I asked her if she would have converted to Judaism. Oh, no, heck no. I wouldn't be one of those guys. She wouldn't be anything but Catholic. It was okay. And I asked her. She couldn't tell me anything about the Bible. Holy Bible means good book in Greek, by the way. She couldn't tell me anything. She tried to debate with me on something, and I'm like, you don't even talk about. She goes, well, I've never read the Bible. Well, then keep your mouth shut. And she is a narcissist. She is power hungry. She is a liar. She's a freaking look right in your eye and tell you lies, man. And she's a horrible human being, and I can't stand her. And yes, I hear you're not supposed to judge, but you do me wrong, you do my people wrong, I'll never trust you again. That's all it takes. And I've asked her before. I'm like, well, what about the rosary? Because she worships, she believes in that, rubbing the beads. I said, what about the priest not getting married? That's in the Bible. I'm like, no, it's not. Priests are allowed to get married. There's no such thing as nuns. Rosary's never mentioned. Lent is never mentioned. Where's this stuff come from? A majority of religions have fabricated things, and even when you have a book that shows you something that people believe in, a lot of it's fabricated. But hey, to each their own. But she didn't like that. she didn't like that at all because, like I said, she's a good Christian. She goes twice a year. She probably puts a $20 bill in there and thinks she's doing something, even though she makes over 100 grand a year. I don't like people like that. I don't like liars. I don't like phonies. I don't like narcissists. I like good people, kind-hearted people that'll listen, kind-hearted people that'll help to educate and make the world a better place. So many people claim that America's a Christian nation, but most of these people don't even act in the name of Christianity. They act in the name of selfishness. And that's the problem with the world today, people. So yes, America is a land of the free. Well, you know what I'm saying. It's supposed to be the land of the free. It is not a Christian nation. It is just a nation, supposed to be a free nation. We are allowed freedom still for a while till the trilaterals come up with something. Those guys. I'm going to go off on them pretty soon. You wait and hear. Your mind's going to get blown. The things I know. But anyway, man, we all have to get along. And if you don't want to believe in someone's religion, that's cool. They don't have to believe in yours either. And you don't need a religion. What we need to do is be good people, good to one another. Stop judging people. Stop being selfish. Stop being so full of hate. That woman I was talking about, she got in my face one time and said that she hates to hear me talking about how we need to help others, how we should help the poor, how we should give of ourselves to help others if we can, because it's her stuff. She worked hard for it. Why should she give something away? But she's a good Christian because she'll tell you so. So peace and love, my brothers and sisters. Let's all get along. Those of us that live in the United States, man, we got to be accepting of others. All right? If you have issues with somebody and you don't like their religion or you know a little bit about it, like some people do, hint, hint, me, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, But don't just get judgmental without knowing what you're talking about, okay? Some crazy things are going to be going down soon. So just be safe, people. Be safe, but be accepting of others. All right? I'll be talking to you real soon, man. Thanks for listening. I love y'all. Peace.